everyone, and over the past fortnight I have had a lot of people tell me about Fortnite. In fact, it's caused a lot of arguments on the internet to be Fortnite, so I could not hold off checking this out any longer. I thought, give it a go and I might be pleasantly surprised. And to my pleasant surprise, I was. Now, I don't want to touch, at least yet, on the hot debate of this game versus Battlegrounds. It's a minefield of a discussion that I think inherently doesn't need to exist, because there is such a small amount of well-done Battle Royale games that there is bags of rooms for others to spring up, to try and innovate, to try and hook their own audience and really play with the formula. Because let's be honest, and this is one of the reasons why I was pleasantly surprised, the formula in Battle Royale, at least to me, is, well, too formulaic, as cheesy as that is to say. The routine that you go through once you're past the initial excitement, intense phase with the game, once you're past the honeymoon period, is, at least to me, dull as hell. I've played Battlegrounds a lot. I enjoyed it a lot at first, but it always has these moments in every game where I'm just really not engaged. I don't like the air quotes process, the jumping out, okay, here's a good place to land, this is how we start looting, alright, this is our strategy for staying ahead of the gas, alright, cool, this is our plan to survive the entire round and win. And if you're gonna play it competitively like that, which you should, right, if you really get into the mindset of this is a all or nothing battle for survival, and I'm going to get into the mindset of what the person I'm playing at would be thinking right now, that's where the fun is at for me, actually letting yourself live the intenseness and the story moments that it does admittedly do a really good job at creating. They're just way too few and far between for me. There's so much downtime in Battlegrounds, and yeah, you can play super aggressive running around the place, but you're just going to get shot, and then that's a whole other way of defeating the point in my eyes. So I feel like there is absolutely huge amounts of room to actually expand and change the formula of the typical Battle Royale. For example, in this game, I was just super excited, as you can see from my very first game here, to get in and just see what I could destroy, see what I could build, because if you've known me for a while, you know I love my creativity in games. I absolutely love the destroy, gather, build, repeat cycle, and obviously I had to do us all a favor and rigorously immediately test gravity. And look, it's entirely possible that all of this means that just I happen to not be someone that likes Battle Royale as a game mode, just as you can be someone who doesn't like free-for-all in shooters, or hell, doesn't even like shooters as a general overarching way of playing a game, and that is totally cool. I might be trying to force myself upon a genre, or at least subgenre, that isn't my cup of tea, and yeah, sometimes, at some point, I might have to accept that. And honestly, I had started to accept that, because to me, every single Battle Royale game that has come out has simply just been better enough than the last. It's not been incredible, it's just been distinctly better than what was before. H1Z1 jumping to Battlegrounds, there's no comparison. Battlegrounds is by far and away the superior game in bloody every respect, and it has blown up because for the longest time it has existed as the first really good Battle Royale type game to almost achieve the level of this is it, this is good, this is how it should function. At best, we can have other games be side grades with a different formula twist, but I still think we are a little bit far away from the magic formula that is basically the de facto, I point at this game, yeah, that is how a Battle Royale should play. I think there's still a little bit further to push it, which is why I like Fortnite, right? I think it has a really cool thing going for it because of how you actually interact with the world, with the destructible, buildable aspect. And the main thing that that does for you is have it so that you never feel like you're just waiting. Because that downtime I mentioned earlier, so much of Battle Royale to me is just waiting for other things to occur. And yes, most of that is down to entirely how you choose to play it, but you cannot deny the game mode as a concept does encourage that from an efficient-minded player. Whereas in Fortnite, you can just always start destroying stuff, building fortifications, and you can kind of keep your mind a little bit busy while that's going on. And yeah, that can kind of give away your position than just hiding somewhere, but it opens up a whole other dimension of planning and tacticalness because of this added system that you just don't get. In other Battle Royale modes, you learn the maps, you learn the best places, and that's kind of it. We're done now. Whereas obviously, naturally, you can still have a situation where these are the best places when you build X. That takes a lot longer to achieve and is not nearly as definitive. The fact that you can effectively, on the fly, set up a cool little base to defend and actually destroy into someone else's in such a really free-flowing building system, because we've had building type systems before, but none of it just is so intuitive and get up and go as Fortnite was. On my first game, I was just totally there already building stuff, and it was really cool. I didn't even care about the combat, and that's really awesome to me. Now, I have to accept that I am still in the honeymoon period of the game, and that is definitely colouring my perception. But talking of coloured perception, am I the only one that, while yeah, I do not think even slightly graphics are the be-all and end-all, the most fidelity you get, the better the game, ha ha ha. No, but I am someone that thinks your aesthetic matters a lot. The style and look and feel that you are projecting and generating to the player. And we look at Battlegrounds.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And I am sorry if you like the game. Again, I don't mind it. I've had a lot of fun in it. But I don't think I'm that crazy in saying that, objectively speaking, it is just a poor game visually. It is ugly, right? The animations aren't great, and the game just looks like a mess. And that's a huge contrast to Fortnite that has this vibrant style. It's not incredible, no, a lot of the animations are admittedly weirdly stiff, but just this more colourful, even cartoony style brought forth onto Battle Royale. It's not really happened before, to my mind. The big ones that I can remember that are akin to this, the Culling, H1Z1, Battlegrounds, and to some extent DayZ, they've all tried to go for the kind of realistic military look. The Culling was definitely zanier, and that was honestly one of the best things it had going for it. A little bit more flavour injected into the formula, and Fortnite kind of does have that flavour. I don't think it has as much personality as the Culling, with its quirky announcer and fun little lines when people die, but the game itself, the world, has bags more personality than Battlegrounds does, that looks like it was put together from a load of devs just buying stuff off the asset store. And I think that is a huge factor for me. Just having a much nicer visual spectacle to be around and play in during a game that does have a lot of downtime, admittedly downtime reduced in Fortnite thanks to its systems, that is absolute heaven to me. And Fortnite's main system is, of course, this building system that I have touched on and will touch on again, but it's so cool and it's such a nice little neat dynamic to a Battle Royale scenario to be able to just quickly prop up fortifications mid-battle or prepare for one with this cool complex thing, and at the end of the day you can just go off the wall and be like, sod the fact that I'm in a deathmatch, I'm just going to build something ridiculous and try and defend it. That has a real appeal too, and it just adds a layer that's not found in others, and being able to destroy everything and really challenge and change the terrain, that's something that you just don't get elsewhere, and it's a really decent hook and entirely justifies the game existing by itself despite everything else. Now, there are certain, I would say, Battle Royale fundamental frustrations that I think are almost impossible to alleviate. Things like being suddenly shot in the back out of nowhere and you felt like there's nothing you could do about it, dying almost instantly as soon as you land. I mean, a lot of these things are alleviated by getting good, but I think there are a certain amount of elements to the genre that are just not great, at least to me personally, because after all, this is an opinion piece. But there is one thing that Fortnite has for me that I really value in my games that Battlegrounds doesn't. It's charm. There is a charm about it that is just completely devoid from the bland soullessness that is Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds is a chocolate sponge. It is fine, you like it, you're okay, it's there. Fortnite is a bit more of an experimental cake with a weird frosting design on top that you're like, that's a lot of fun, let me have a go at that. And while it might not be the classic flavour, it's at least doing a little bit better than Battlegrounds did in terms of trying to innovate, because H1Z1, its popular predecessor, was just a basic sponge. Didn't even have function mechanics. The gunplay in that game was absolutely trash, and it is disgusting that it ever did as well as it did, because that game was fucking abysmal. And Battlegrounds came along and went, you know what, we're gonna make that, but actually give it proper functioning mechanics. We're not going to do much on the graphical end or give any sort of majorly unique twist, but we're going to make a solidly functioning basic Battle Royale. And they did, and it is good, and it is fun, and I get why it is popular, but it misses that almost... I don't know, I don't want to say passion, because I'm sure the devs are passionate about all the money they're making, but it just lacks... it just lacks to me a certain, almost intangible flair that you can feel from a game that has a little bit more heart gone into it, at least to me. And while I do not think that Fortnite is maybe crazily in that direction, there is definitely a sense of just a product for the sake of a product about it. It does distinctly, even just from its visual style, have a little bit more charm, and I really appreciate that. This is of course a totally personal preference, and hell, this entire video is very subjective with my own experiences in the games, and I will fully hold my hands up and admit I am not a super experienced Battle Royale. As someone who's got hundreds and hundreds of hours in these games that I'm talking about, hell, as someone who's played loads of Fortnite, you might be sitting here going, what are you talking about? But me, as someone who is the casual scrub of Battle Royale modes, this is how they make me feel, and I think that that's still a perspective that is definitely worth exploring. Really is the best example I can give is just the little thing. Even the map having all of its names be a lovely bit of alliteration, just to me harkens back a charm of the kind that I got from the titles of the Series of Unfortunate Events book. It's kind of a weird connection for me to make, but it kind of just resonates with me. Just when you hit something in Fortnite, having that boing type of feel to it, I mean, it's just great. Boing, boing, boing. I love that. Just little bits like that really hook me on games. Because for this to exist, this little, almost inconsequential little animation, someone at some point on the dev team went, hey, wouldn't it be cool if things like bounced up and down when you hit them? That'd be fun, right? And someone went, yeah, let's try that. And just knowing that conversation took place engages me on a level that something in Battlegrounds doesn't, because I can't think of anything in Battlegrounds that really would have caused that, outside of maybe wouldn't it be cool to mod weapons, and modding the weapons and finding the pieces and putting on a good scope and stuff. That really is one of the major hooks in that game, and honestly it is a satisfying system to play. So, you know, there are pros and cons and sides to everything, of course there are. What I will say though is, of course, if you want a more realistic with better shooting mechanics, with more focus on your actual aim and just outgunning the other guy, then Battlegrounds is definitely your choice. The gunplay in that game is very decent for the type of game that it is, and honestly I can see a lot of satisfaction coming from it. And again, because it is Battle Royale, like everything, it does create really cool moments that keep you coming back and keeping people engaged and keeping people watching people play it, for Christ's sake. There's so much of that going on. Just look at frickin' Twitch, it's so popular. But I think that's not really something that Battlegrounds has done so much, that the Battle Royale as a genre is just that, right? It creates those moments. That's why it is popular. And I don't think it's necessarily fair to just credit one particular entry into that genre. Even H1Z1, for its awfulness, still created those moments, and that's why people played it until something came along that was just way better for it in the form of Battlegrounds. So there definitely is an argument to be made here that I simply prefer the style of game, the aesthetic, and how it functions, the lightness of it, and the sort of lesser focus on the pure aiming mechanics in Fortnite. So obviously I'm going to prefer it. That is totally a viable thing to say, and honestly quite possibly true. But that kind of hits the nail on the head, right? Because Fortnite caters to perhaps someone like me who prefers a, well, more, I'm gonna say it, casual, colourful experience. That's a really good thing and has its own niche and right to exist, and that's awesome. So again, I really do stress that I think there is so much room for exploration, for innovation, for other titles to emerge in what is a rapidly growing, ridiculously popular genre that is honestly looking to try and go up there with the rise of MOBAs as a genre, and it, you know, it's really giving it its fair freaking go, and because of that, we cannot stifle that creativity. I think it was disgusting that the Battleground devs were like, whoa, Fortnite can't do that. They can try and make all the excuses they want, like they did, but it's really not good, right? You do not want a game like Battlegrounds, which is fine but not great, alright, I'm gonna say that, to have the monopoly already. You want people to push because there is still so much room to beat Battlegrounds by being objectively better in many respects. And while I don't think Fortnite is that game, I think it is a very good stepping point and a huge step in a direction to turn it into a much cooler experience as a whole. And that's something that I have been really enjoying about it. I really have. So I just wanted to put my thoughts out there on Battle Royale as a game mode, the games that have been part of it, and this whole versus and the huge rise in popularity of Fortnite Battle Royale. Like, it is really growing, and I think rightly so for a lot of reasons I've said. It does do a lot of things that, at least to me, are just simply more fun than its competitors. And at the end of the day, you play a game to have fun. So obviously my allegiance is going to lie where the greatest fun is generated. And you know what? That's okay. Let me know what you thought of this. I realize it's kind of just randomly out there for me, but like if you did, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. A good boy.
Rage Gaming with the video flow, shenanigans and Overwatch, and his fans all know that every single thumbnail that this man makes without fail makes you do a double take, catching your attention with every verse. See, say that you need healing but you're at his mercy. Get it? Cause it's a pun. On his channel, that's one of the better ones. Widow is venomous, I see no end to this. Cataclysm's imminent when Rage is in his element. Pandemonium is not familiar with irrelevance. Maximum Genji beam, oh so elegant. Jokes so funny, causing you to cry. Editing is quality as the noon is high. Yo, concussion man, shoot to the sky. Cap it all off with a goodbye.